Are you sick of your friends stealing your stuff? Do you wish you had a place to store 2 small things or maybe 1 medium thing? Well, look no further, I have the solution for you. Get new friends, what's wrong with you?
Thank you.
If that's not an option, this book vault will at least hide the valuable stuff. So head over to my website and for $10 you can... Right, enough with the music. Will be selling Zoloft? For $10 on my website, link in the description of this video, you can get the dimensions and specifications, bring them back here and I'll walk you through it step by step. And at the end of this, hopefully you have a book vault of your own. So much like my Tambor book vault video, which if you haven't seen that, go back and watch it, it's much cooler than this one. We're going to start with the door, because the books determine the size of the door, which determines the size of the case. When I'm building one of these bookcases, I usually take my tape measure to Goodwill, any thrift store really, and I'm looking for books between 8.5 inches tall and 9.25 inches tall. The 3/4 discrepancy between the two is easily hidden with the black paint, which you'll see later in the video. If you're not building this and you didn't get the drawings with all of the links, the link to that paint and everything I use in this video will be in the description of this video. Yeah, say video again. Great. It's all going to be down there in the description. As for the dimensions to rip these bindings down to, I usually go between 1.25 inches and 7/8 to add some variety and depth. If these are all flat sitting on the same plane, it's going to be obvious that something's going on. Unless you live in Texas like me, then this thing might as well have a ghillie suit on. So when it comes to cutting these books, I would absolutely recommend a bandsaw. The table saw creates significant tear out on the bottom of these, and it's just a sketchy process in general. One nice thing about these is you can compress them when you're gluing them together and putting the pin nails, which you'll see later, in the sides. You can actually squeeze these and make them fit on the panels. And the glue is unbelievably strong, so it will not bounce back after it's dry. When you're gluing these pages together, you're going to want to apply glue liberally. Now, if you think I'm going to recycle the same joke from the last video, you're out of your mind. After I made that joke, I had libertarians and patriots fighting in the comments, and I just want to set the standard now while the channel is still small. I don't care what you believe in. That is not what we're here for. We're here to have fun. I'm here to spread joy. Don't talk about politics, you're just going to get blocked. I'm using 1/2 inch Baltic birch here. 1/2 inch seems to be a good size for the backer for these, the substrate, I guess you'd call it, that the books are attached to. Now, if you don't know what Baltic birch is, it's plywood that has no gaps in it, so you can actually leave the edge exposed. I've made a lot of furniture or, built-ins for restaurants that have the edge exposed, and you can actually just put finish on it, and it looks pretty darn good. If you've ever spent $16 on a smoothie, you've probably seen this before. Now, one of the reasons I chose the Baltic birch is for when you're putting these threaded inserts in the corners, you need more solid wood than regular plywood offers. Baltic is pretty dense, it's very heavy compared to normal plywood that you get from Home Depot. So if you're interested in using this, dust off the old phone book and look up your plywood supplier in your area. They'll have it by the sheet, they might have smaller sizes. Either way, this is what I'd go with. If you've ever been to the hardware section at Home Depot, you've seen these slide-out trays with odds and ends, screws and furniture bolts and such. These nylon spacers are in there. All I do here is I put those spacers on the end of some all-thread. I use 2P10 as almost a lubricant because it has an open time, I believe, of 30 seconds, and if you use the activator, it's instantaneous. One thing to note when you're putting the hinges on the back of these panels, make sure the doors are flush top and bottom. And make sure there's some pressure pushing inward on the panels so that there's no weird gaps. If there's gaps between the books, there's going to be a dead giveaway.
Did somebody say giveaway?
I certainly did. If you want to win one of these, at the end of the video there will be a slide with instructions on how to enter the giveaway. Now, it's not this exact one, but I'm going to make a new one for this giveaway. I've recently been diagnosed with early onset integrity, which is detrimental, I'm told, to smaller channels that are trying to grow. I don't like asking for things, I don't like trying to sell things. I just want to entertain. So, in lieu of just asking for a subscription, I figured I would do a giveaway, and hopefully you guys would subscribe out of pity anyways. so stick around to the end if that interests you. Adding this felt to the back of the door panels adds a nice bassy sound to the whole project when you open and close the door. I use a wood burner to melt the edges of the felt so that it doesn't fray and look like garbage. From what I can gather from the smell, I believe felt is just plastic, and that's why you hear me slur words from time to time. This spot here is what'll be the dead giveaway. I already plugged it. I already did that part. This spot was one of my biggest concerns when I was thinking up this project. And thankfully I found this paint on Amazon, and it works so well at absorbing the light. You can't even notice it's there, even if you know it's there. Now, if you're somebody who's upset that I'm cutting up books, just keep in mind, nobody cares. Including you. You don't even care. You're just bored. Find something better to do with your time than be angry online. Leave that to me. Alright, for the most part, we're done with the arts and crafts section of the video. Now we're on to the actual carcass of the cabinet. The dimensions in the drawings are a very safe measurement to go with, and you can, manipulate the books you bought to fit on those dimensions. Now, if you want to, you can make it specifically fit the books that you purchased. I usually take the width of the door and give myself 1/8 of an inch extra for the inside opening of this carcass. That gives you a little bit of wiggle room on either side for the door to actually open and close. And also, these books expand when they're not under pressure. So the outside books might even act as a buffer, a weather strip, if you will, and expand and touch the sides. These router bits are a reoccurring character in all of my videos. If I'm not pulling it out to make a track for a tambour or a bifold door, it's to create a slot for a light, which are also almost in every video, so kind of a hack. Need to expand, maybe. Anywho, they are from Amazon, and they're very affordable, so they dull very quickly, but it doesn't hurt to buy a new one. I would suggest if you're going to do a lot of stuff like this, and like myself, I should have at this point, bought a nice one. Invest in one that's for long-term use. So learn from me and buy one that's nice for the price of the probably 10 or so I've gone through on this channel. I had the bright idea to cut up plastic cutting board strips and put them in the bottom of the channel to help this thing slide around smoothly. It has to turn that corner when you actually open the door, so I figured all the help I could give it I would. It worked pretty well. You can leave this part out. It works without it, but I personally prefer it with. I try to breeze through this part of the video because it's just routing out a channel. The measurements for the templates are in the drawings, and it's a very straightforward process. And especially somebody like myself, I've been doing it for 16 plus years. A veteran, some would say. I mean, with all the experience under my belt at this point in my career, I would never mess something so simple. Yeah, very good. Nice. Alright, moving on. When you start assembling your carcass, don't forget to measure corner to corner. Check your diagonals and make sure they match so you know you have a square piece. And don't be afraid to pull out all of your clamps. This thing's going to take some force when you're opening and closing the door. If you want it to open correctly and slide back into place, you're going to need to use a lot of glue, and it's going to have to take some pressure. Now it's time to put the decorative frame that goes inside of the actual cabinet together, which is basically just a photo frame with metal mesh inside. This panel is going to be used to attach the piece to the wall, which is why you can see I use trim head screws into the sides, which you'll never see, and also use a ton of glue when I actually attach it to the carcass. All of the leverage and pressure is going to be transferred to these two screws through this frame, so make sure you glue the heck out of it, pardon my French. I just want to take a second to thank everybody who bought the Kinetic cabinet drawings. I did not expect that many people to buy those, and I've never sold anything on here before. And I was shocked, and I felt validated for all the work I'd put in. These next few minutes do not need any explaining. It's very obvious what I'm doing, so I'm going to shut up for about a minute and a half, and then I'll be back. I'm sick of hearing my own voice, and I'm sure you are as well. On this project, I figured I'd mix it up, and I've gotten some finish here that's called Rubio Monocut. I've never heard of it before. Must be pretty obscure. Obviously a joke. If you spent any time watching YouTube, people building stuff on here, this is what most people use. I am just not a fan of the sheen over time. Now, that very well could be user error, and it most likely is, but for me, I like a nice polyurethane coating. You can build up coats, you can get a nice luster, it brings the grain forward. It's great stuff if applied correctly. Speaking of woodworkers on YouTube, I've been asked, who do I watch on YouTube? Who inspires me? And to that I say, I don't watch many people. I'll watch the occasional Blacktail video, he's lovely. But for the most part, there's a lot of self-massaging going on, which you'll never have to worry about on this channel, because I hate myself. Another question I've been asked multiple times on this channel is, what do you do for a job? And are you ever going to make real furniture on here? And the answer is yes. My next video is this table, which I've made before. It was before I started this channel. And as for my day job, I do custom woodwork and cabinetry. This is a photo before and after of a pantry I did for a client that I wrapped up today before I recorded this. If you're wondering why I'm using caulk on the back of this, it is to mitigate any rattling from the metal mesh when you operate the door. Once again, I'm using paste wax to grease the channels the door slides in, so if there's any weird spots where the door might catch, this wax is going to help it slide right past those and operate pretty smooth. Speaking of operating smoothly, I'm curious what you guys think of the voiceover on these videos. It's a new addition to the channel, and I never thought I'd do it, mainly because I don't want to write a script, and I haven't yet. I just sit down and watch these after I edit them and talk over it, kind of like I'm watching it with you. So let me know in the comments what you think, please. Hopefully by this point, you're staring at your masterpiece with joy and a slight concern that you can't open it as well as I do here in the video. There is a learning curve to operating this thing, and it takes practice. And yes, you saw that correctly. Those are construction screws in a piece of decor that's sole purpose is aesthetics. I forgot to bring the decorative screws that I bought on the day that I filmed this, so these had to do. Look at that color, good gravy. This stuff reminds me of those hug barrels from the 90s, which my parents gave me in lieu of actual hugs. They're not good, but somehow they're great. One final note that I failed to mention earlier in the video is, if you'll notice, the center book sticks proud of all the other ones. I did that intentionally so that I have something to grab onto. That's going to act as the handle, so make sure that one is the tallest of all your measurements. When you're opening the door, you're going to find adding a little bit of speed helps those pegs on the top and the bottom round the corner, and same goes for when you're closing it. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I appreciate all of you, and if you have any questions or concerns, if you bought the drawings, if you didn't buy the drawings, feel free to DM me on Instagram at Yarmles, and reach out to me through email if that's not your thing. And to all of the new subscribers since my last video, all I'd like to say is...
Thanks.
Thanks. All right.
Lovely. I'm gonna go not talk for 2 weeks now. Love you. Good night.